Hi, I'm Kyle, and in this video I'm going to show you how to reduce your work-related stress, improve the quality of your life by implementing what's called EFT, or Emotional Freedom Technique. It's simple, it's easy, you can do it anywhere, and it works. So keep watching. So this is episode 2 in a series called How to Reduce Your Work-Related Stress and Increase Your Alpha Power. The first one was about a 10-minute meditation, very easy to implement in your mornings, and also how to bring that peace that you generate during that meditation into your workday at any point in time. This one is about EFT, or Emotional Freedom Technique, otherwise known as tapping. You may have heard of it. It's becoming quite popular. In fact, I just read that about 10 million people practice this. Now, there's a reason that I named this series this, and that is that, stress increases our cortisol and decreases our testosterone, which is our male hormone. One of the things it does is it makes us want to deal with things head on, like a man's supposed to do, right? Instead of what cortisol does, largely it makes you want to avoid situations. That's just one aspect of these things. But the point is, stress increases your cortisol, reduces your testosterone. So reducing your stress in a very real way increases your male alpha power. And we need that if we are to take the world by storm and create our legacy. And even if we have a long-term chronic stress issue and we need to change our environment and we need to implement longer-term strategies, we need to reduce our stress now to be able to implement those strategies and devise them. So that's what this is all about here. In another video, I'm going to talk about longer-term strategies to remove yourself from chronic situations. Okay, but in this one, this is another one like meditation. It's something you can do now, immediately. You can do it anywhere practically. You'll see it looks a little funny to outside observers if they don't know what you're doing. So you might want to be, in a separate room or the bathroom or the car or whatever. But you can essentially do it anywhere. Okay, so let's talk about it. This technique was invented by a man named Gary Craig, but it was basically using some timeless ancient knowledge, particularly about energy and the human body energy systems, particularly what's called the meridians and the acupuncture or acupressure points. Now, before anyone just dismisses this, first of all, there's some science. In fact, there's been a study in let's see if I get the name right. I've been struggling with this. The Nervous and Mental Disease, the Journal of Nervous Mental Disease, which is the oldest peer-reviewed psychology journal in the United States. They did a study recently with this EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, and showed that it does reduce the levels of cortisol in the blood, which is the stress hormone, right? So there's some studies that showing that this actually works, which is the most important thing, right? Also, just throwing out there's been some studies of the fascia in the human body. That's the connective tissue that wraps around all of our muscles and our vessels and nerves and everything. And it's really one continuous piece of tissue that surrounds every organ. It connects every organ in our body. And they found some very subtle vessels in this system called the premovascular system, and it roughly correlates with the ancient Eastern meridian systems and things like that. So there is some studies out there that are starting to validate these ancient traditions, and I think more and more of that is going to come out as we have more sensitive instruments to measure the human body. But let's get to it. So basically, Emotional Freedom Technique is based on the premise that your negative emotion is due to an imbalance in your energy system of your body. Okay, so what you do is you recognize what is causing this, and you have a phrase that you say in a very particular way, and then you tap on certain points. And I'm going to go through the points first, and then we'll go through the setup of what you actually do. Okay, so the points are first, and some of these are mirrored on each side of your body, and some of them are, you'll see, some of them are only on one because they're in the middle. Okay, but so on either hand there's a point called the karate chop point. Okay, and that's right here. So I typically use these two fingers here to tap, whatever's comfortable. I'm right-handed, so I use my right hand to tap, and and I use my whatever side's most convenient for that hand. So it's the karate chop point. It's that fleshy point just a little bit below your pinky. That's point 1. The next point is right at the middle of the top of your head. Right there. Okay. The next point is above your eye, right about where your eyebrow ends on the inside, above your nose but off to the side. Now if you have a unibrow like me that you have to occasionally trim, it's not the end of the eyebrow, but it's the end of where the eyebrow should end. But it's right above the eye and the inside near your nose, okay? Above it. The next point is on the other side of your eyebrow, like where the other side ends, on the bone. Not quite the fleshy area of your temple, but on the bone. So you tap there. And then the next one is under the eye. These last few points obviously are on either side of the body, so it doesn't matter which side you do. The next one is below your nose and above your upper lip. Right there. The next one is your chin, about halfway between your bottom of your lower lip and the point of your chin. It's kind of in the cleft of your chin. The next one is, they call it the collarbone or clavicle point, but it's really, it's a little bit below it. So you basically find, if you find where your breastbone at the top, there's a U-shaped little indentation there, right here, a little bit below your Adam's apple. You go over to the right about an inch and down an inch, and there's this spot. It's basically where your clavicle connects to your breastbone, and you can kind of feel it. It's like this sort of, there's almost a little divot there. So that's the spot right there. And then the last spot is on your side. It's directly below your armpit, so it's a side. Those are the points, and it didn't take long to do. Now, so what do? In this case, I'm doing an example where you're dealing with your stress at work. So get it specific as you want. For me, I just had a general overwhelm a lot of times where I was dreading going to work in the morning. So I'd be like, I'm just stressed out about work. So, so you phrase it in this way. Even though I have this blank, or even though I feel this blank. So in this case, even though I have this stress about going to work, I deeply and completely accept myself. That's all I have to say. So that's the setup that sort of gets your body and your energy system tuned into what you're trying to work on. So what you do, once you identify that, in this case, I'm just going to go with that example. So I have this stress about going to work. The next thing is you evaluate on a scale of 1 to 10 what your stress level is at this particular moment. So let's say in the morning it's a 7, or maybe it's an 8. I don't know. Let's just say it's an 8. So I'm feeling pretty stressed out. I don't want to go in there. I know right away I've got a meeting. My boss is looking for this one thing, and I'm behind on blah, 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 something. So maybe you're at an 8. So you say, okay, we're at an 8. You recognize that. Then you do the setup phrase while you are tapping on your karate chop point. So you're like, Even though I feel this stress about going to work, I deeply and completely accept myself. Now you go through the rest of the points, tapping, but you don't have to do that whole phrase. You just do a reminder phrase, something short like this stress. So then you would go like this stress, 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 and that's it. Did I do this one? Yeah. Anyway, and that's it. So now you assess where you're at on a scale of 1 to 10 now. I almost guarantee it's going to be a little bit lower. So, you know, and the scale might be, it was an 8 before, now maybe it's a 5. Okay, so then you do the same thing again. You do the full phrase, even though I feel this stress, I completely and deeply accept myself. And then you go through it again, saying the reminder phrase, this stress. And you go through all the points, and then you assess again. And, you know, you do it until you either get to 0 or you get to some plateau. But that plateau, I just about guarantee, is going to be lower than it was when you started. And then you go about your day. Now, I used to do this in the morning before I went to work. I used to do this in the car on the way to work sometimes. Every once in a while, in the middle of the day, it would get to me and I would go in a bathroom stall for a few minutes and just do it. We had a lot of conference rooms that were sometimes not being utilized, so I would do it in a conference room. I didn't do it all the time, but I did it often in the morning and occasionally during the day when something was getting to me. And it immediately calms you down. This morning, I used it before my meditation. I was meditating and I was a little agitated thinking about things, and I actually did this EFT method. I did this and it calmed me right down. I went from a 7 right to like a 2. Like my stress was just down to almost nothing. And then I was able to do the meditation much easier. And then I was, by the end of the meditation, I was good, man. This will reduce your stress in the moment, in the morning, at work. It will reduce your cortisol, it'll increase your testosterone effectiveness, and it's going to help you take charge of your life and create the life of your dreams, which is what I'm here really all about. And if you find this interesting and want to see more content like this, please subscribe, ring the bell, click the bell, and that will let you be notified when new content is released. And there's going to be more coming on this topic. I would love to hear your comments about other ways to reduce stress, as well as any questions you have or ideas on other subjects you'd like me to cover. So thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Good day.